Mario, what's up, man?
Hey, brother.
Your dad.
Yes.
You just posted a photo. I saw it.
Yeah.
89?
89, man.
Wow.
That crazy? 89. My dad had a play called Ain't Supposed to Die a Natural Death. And the quote is from someone that wrote that a slave ain't supposed to die a natural death. They're gonna die some other way. Mario Van Peebles is gonna, die a natural death. He lived a full life. He's been on some lists. He was on the FBI list, as a dangerous Negro, which is a compliment. Good trouble.
That's a T-shirt right there.
It's a T-shirt right
dangerous
there.
Negro.
Basically, right? He's 89. He said, I still run fast, just, stuff goes by slower. Smart cat. He's older now, but one of the smartest cats that I've known. And he was the guy that, and I know I've said this to you before, that early on said some fathers, especially black fathers, can teach you how to play ball. My dad couldn't play ball, but he said, I'll teach you how to own the team.
That's I love that because when I had season tickets to the Houston Texans, after the game was over, we were down underneath and we were waiting for the players to come out and coaches and with all the family.
Right.
And Wade Phillips, son of legendary Houston Oilers head coach Bum Phillips, was defensive coordinator. And so my nephew Chris probably was 3, 4. So Chris had a football and he was having. Chris signed his own ball. Chris thought that he put his name on it.
Beautiful.
Right.
He's thinking for what's going to happen, not what is happening.
It was hilarious.
Yeah.
And so we walk over and so Phillips goes, so Chris, what position you want to play? I said, no. Chris is not being raised to play. He's been raised to own the team.
Man.
And Wade
Man.
Doc, he's sort of like,
Yes.
oh. I said,
Yes.
that's how he's being raised.
Yes.
And that is so
that mindset early on.
because it completely, to me, it completely changes the trajectory of one's career or life when they are thinking differently. They're thinking about endorsing checks as opposed to somebody only handing you a check.
Right. And that's when you mentally have gotten off the plantation. When you start to say, wait a minute, if they can make money from us, we can make money from us. And that's something that when you ask about my dad, that he always said, son, the golden rule is he who has the gold makes the rule. Mm-hmm. Not that gold is important, but you have to understand how this is played. That America is built on capitalism and democracy. Mm-hmm. So you want to vote, you want to have a say-so in that, but you also want to have some sort of business going that allows you to end up owning the team.
When you think about all of those different conversations with your dad and watching him, how are you then making sure that your children are seeing the same lessons or learning these things? Even if you say, look, you may not want to be a director, but you can learn from what I'm doing and still apply it to whatever career you want to go into.
Okay, so that's a good question, Roland, and that's going to vary with each soul you get. Kids don't come from us, they come through us. So like this interview right now, I can't tell where you're going to go with it, right? And
I have no idea where I'm going to go with it.
And you can't tell what my response will be,
right?
Right. So it's in the live, it's a moment. Kids are like that. So you have to sort of help figure out who that human being is and help them be the best version of who they can be. So for example, I'll give you an example. I have my eldest daughter, Maya. Beautiful, first daughter. Social, man, she can get up like me. We can go talk to strangers, no problem. Every teacher said, wow, Maya, if she spent as much time on her academic life as she did her social life, the girl would be an A student. I said, okay, some people would, because she's always talking. So some people would see that as a distraction.
Right.
I said, okay, that's an asset. So I made a deal with Maya. I said, Maya, tell you what school you want to go to? Daddy will pay for any school you want to go to. I have it like that right now. I don't know how long I have it, but right now I can do that. But here's the deal. You pick that school, but if you don't get over a B, I'm going to pick the next school. Oh, so she wanted to go to this little girls' school in Archer, a little, school in Beverly Hills. I said, okay, we'll do it. A little Mean Girls type vibe. Everybody wearing designer stuff. Not my flavor, man.
Right.
I'm not that guy. She talked. She had a good time. Socialite. Just got under a B minus. Didn't quite get there. So Daddy picked the next school. So I picked a school in France. She didn't speak French. That wasn't in the deal. I sent her to school in France. So maintenant, elle parle français, tu vois? Donc, she had to learn French.
She was thinking, you were thinking, not even just here in the U.S., not just California, but right. You said, no.
Oh, yeah. We sent her to school in France. Hated it the first year. Cut her hair off in protest, mouth all poked out, didn't want to talk to me. Said, good, you're going back again. Still, I didn't see the grades. She said, Dad, this is unfair. They're teaching me stuff in French. I don't speak French. By the second time, I know Maya loves to gossip. She got so tired of not knowing what was going on. She got her little French boyfriend, learned French, and now fluent in French. I brought her back. She said, thank you. Now, looking back. That's the way I dealt with Maya. But I also sent her to Ghana to work in an orphanage. I also sent her to live with one of the first black politicians in Africa for a while, to set up girls' schools. So that was with Maya. Now, my son Mandela, different vibe. Mm-hmm. My other son, Michaelo, different vibe. Two of my kids, Michaelo and Maya, now have the house across the street from my house, right? But they out there working on the yard. You would think they just workers. They digging, planting, moving, painting, because that's good for them to do. So each kid's going to be a little different. But what I found here, Roland, is the one thing I have found pretty consistently is you can't teach your kids heart, but you can give them exposure and experience.
Right.
So send Morgana, my daughter, to teach in Thailand. Send Mandela to teach in South Africa. So get them exposure. And exposure is right around where empathy is. And that's just around the corner from heart. And so what happens is now they experience stuff and go, wow, these people ain't got what I got. Mm-hmm. The whole world don't see what we have. Even in terms of America, we as Americans travel, but we also don't often leave our socioeconomic group.
Right.
Right. So I sent my kids to military camp in Carolina with Red State. Then next year I sent them to a yoga camp where they did Vedantic healing stuff and vegan food, and they're going to either be really diverse or schizophrenic or just super well-rounded. But having that well-rounded thing allows you to understand different people. Here's the thing. I believe it's very hard to love people, to lead people if they don't feel the love. Mm. And if you can't understand different people, then you can't love them. We knew Malcolm loved us, whether you agreed with him or not. We knew Dr. King loved us. We knew Mother Teresa loved us. We knew Gandhi loved us. Do you know what I mean? And that's the difference. So I wanted my kids to have heart, be intelligent. But we don't need more smart, rich people. Where we're going right now with this climate, brother, it's not just about racial diversity. Tomorrow's game is going to be about biodiversity. So we need people with heart and with a higher consciousness. And that's what I've tried to give my kids. I'm just at the point now I'm starting to feel like I almost like my kids. They close. I'm like going, so that's one of the things that my dad saw in me. He said, okay, I know how to deal with Mario. He's an ambitious cat. So I know what I can do with him, but that's not the same thing I can do with his brother. One size fits all. Parenting doesn't get it. And
how many siblings you have?
I have a brother and a sister.
Got it.
Yeah. One size fits all. Parenting doesn't get it. So he was able to, I'll give you a case. Let me tell you one quick thing. This happened to me. I was writing a book on it called Free Thinker about my dad and my mom. I never knew what my dad was going to say. Smart cat, man. My sister and I were in LA once, and he said, I want to take you guys to a bat mitzvah. We said, what's a bat mitzvah? He said, it's a celebration, and part of it's a religious celebration and a coming of age thing, and I'm going to bring you. So my sister and I went, and there were these little beautiful Jewish kids, kind of nervous, kind of nerdy, and standing around, no one dancing. And me and my sister could dance. We looked like the Jackson 5 at the time. I had a big old afro. She had a big red afro. So we turned the music up, talked to the DJ, and we got out of the floor. We tore it up. And my dad was watching. And after we were dancing for a while, he said, come here, I want to talk to you. We thought, what's he gonna say, you know? He said, I love y'all, you know, but I'm very disappointed because you two are beautiful and you know you're beautiful and you know you can dance, but you're not bringing out the beauty in the other people. There's two things we love about people, Mario and Megan. We love who they are and we love who we are with them. You'll never know what that man who had been to Auschwitz was thinking or that little Jewish girl is thinking because the way you're dancing is so intimidating that they're going to just watch you and applaud you, but you're not bringing out what they applaud in themselves. Mm-hmm. So you guys are going to miss out, and I'm disappointed.
So did he want y'all to bring them to the dance
Brother,
floor?
we went back out. Let me tell you, we went back out. My sister got the old man up. I got the girl up. We got everybody up, and the guy wound up funding my movie years later, the kid who's bat mitzvah.
Wow.
You got to bring out the beauty in others.
See that
you see what I'm saying? And my dad understood good allies come in all colors. They don't just look like you or vote like you. Don't leave love on the table.
I'm Deborah Owens, America's Wealth Coach, and my new show, Get Wealthy, focuses on the things that your financial advisor and bank isn't telling you, but you absolutely need to know. So watch Get Wealthy on the Black Star Network.
We were at it's about my frat brother Lamel McMorris. He does his annual awards program at Essence. During Congressional Black Caucus Foundation annual legislative conference. And so he always has a major entertainer perform. So 2019. So I always go to the deal. So in fact, hold up, I got it. It's so funny you tell that story because, dude, I'm telling you, I straight up laugh because he sends me a text. He's like, bruh, he said, help me. Hold on, let me find it. It was too funny because he knows I love music, I love to dance, and I'm gonna do it all day. Here it is. He goes, help. First I said, get here as fast as you can. I went there. He goes, grab someone and go to the dance floor. Help.
Oh, yes.
I said, you want me to get this going? He said, please.
Right.
I went, no problem. 90 seconds later. So here we are at the party.
We're penguins, baby.
And I said,
we're penguins, man.
Like, I can start a party.
Yeah.
So I walk out there. So it's Congressman Terry Sewell, the late Congressman John Lewis, because it was Alabama Power. So I walk out there. I was like, Congresswoman Sewell, come on. She's like, no. I said, I ain't trying to hear all that. Come on. Shut up. Get on out of here. I grabbed Lewis. Oh, y'all, come on. I start grabbing people. And so I'm at that dance. So it was about 10, 15 people. Then I go, hey, what all y'all doing? Right. We ain't sitting around here looking. Right. Within 90 seconds, there's like 100 people on the dance floor. Right. And then others started flooding. Right. Neo was performing, and Neo, when he finished the song, he was like, Ro, appreciate that. Let's get the party started. Right. But for me, it's like, why are we sitting around watching somebody dance? Right. Yo, get up. Right. If your legs work, use them. Right. And if somebody don't know how to do the dance, teach them how to do the electric slide or the Cupid shuffle or whatever it is. But don't just sit around and observe.
Right. That's interesting. When I remember, because you started this by asking me about my dad, Sidney Poitier, presented my father with a Lifetime Achievement Award. And so you hear Poitier, and then Mario Van Peebles comes up. And my dad took the words, thank you, brother. He said, put the music on. We just gonna dance. And him and Poitier started dancing. He said, we've done enough. We've talked enough. We've interviewed enough. We have earned it. Let's dance. In fact, all of y'all get up and dance with us. And that was it. That was it.
He's like, I ain't giving a speech.
No, that was it. I think remembering, and that's part of the joy of it, is remembering to have fun. Now, but that sounds California-ish. But if you understand it,
I'm from Houston.
brother, if you understand it, I tell you what, I saw this cat once who was a PA, just a little PA. And we had the scene with a soccer movie. I don't play soccer, but they really wanted me to be in this movie. And so I said, okay, my top half can run down the field. You pick out some legs. So I went out and saw all these soccer players. I saw a dude with, some legs that looked like my color. I said, he'll work. So they cut to his legs and me, looking like I'm playing soccer. But they had to fill up the stands. This was a low budget flick. They had to fill up the stands with people every day. It was in New York. So they would bring people out, take an ad in the paper saying, come out and be in a movie. Now, around midday, everybody would split.
Right.
And the guy would say, well, gee, they're just leaving because it's hot, they're just leaving. He's a nice PA. And eventually he said, well, I've got to go now, Mario. I've got to go work on a different film. He left. They brought a brother in. Brother used to break the ice at a comedy store.
There you go.
This brother came in, they sent a new group of people out. He said, come out here, take a picture. You want a picture? You give me $5, I'll get you in the movie. He joked with them, laughed with them. People came and stayed all day.
Wow.
Personalities can cost you money or save you money. We don't just deal with lights or cameras, we deal with people. And that's why you're so great to do this, is we can just go and flow with you. When they say, Roland's doing it, I'm like, oh, cool, we good.
And people, I love it when I hit folks up because, one, there's no formal process, not like, well, we're going to send this letter out. It was all text message like, yo, I'm coming to town. We got an Airbnb. We're doing interviews. Mm-hmm. And no one said, well, so is there any topic we're covering? Is there anything with it? And I go, no. Or then here's what gets me. I'll have folks, this always happens to folks here in Hollywood, they go, well, I had nothing to promote. And I said, I didn't ask you to promote anything. Mm-hmm. I said, a conversation isn't dependent upon you need to promote something. Mm-hmm. I was like, it's a conversation. And I think and I'm always trying to explain to people, yo, you don't have to.
Well, that's a long game. You're playing a longer game,
something.
And we're taught to think transactionally about everything, including ourselves. And what you've got to do is also understand that your worth, your conversation, your wisdom, your sharing may be something that's beyond transactional and beyond this latest movie or that latest movie.
There you go.
And then when you're playing the long game with those interviews, what you're doing, that's why you're doing longer interviews, is that you're going to get a whole different vibe. And I think that's valid. Once we get to the talking points of whatever that movie is, we want to hit these points.
Precisely.
Then you're going to get a very canned interview.
And it's interesting, we've had numerous conversations and we've talked about your dad. What did your mom do?
My mother, okay. And she's part of my script too, free thinker. My mom is really an interesting chick, man.
Like we've never talked about your mom.
Yeah. So my mom.
Always your dad.
Yeah. My mom. And
I get it. I get it.
No, and here's the thing. The one thing about the Van Peebles family, I always joke, we're like the Jacksons without the talent. But we still mean, my eldest daughter, Maya, I always tease Maya, she has a voice like Whitney Houston. She's got this beautiful singing voice in her head. But to the rest of us, girl sound like a dying cat. Now, early on in her life, she started singing. I said, oh, goodness. I said, good thing she's smart. So, but now she's working and doing all this pro bono work. She did campaign finance. She's a smart chick. Mm-hmm. We don't confuse in our family people we love with people who are good at what they think they love. Right? My mother loves to act. The chick can't act a lick. I would never hire her. Someone got to be LaToya, right? So my mom's not.
You said somebody got to be LaToya. I know you sneak that in there.
But so we just keep it real like that. My dad can act if he's playing something close to Melvin. Right. You know what I mean? So I don't look at my kids and go, oh, they're so cute. No, what can you really do? You got to be realistic. And what do you have the energy to really do? My mom was a photographer, a writer, and a big pro-environmentalist. And she's the one that...
That's where you get all that from.
Yes, my mother, very pro-environment. Both my mom and dad, super frugal, very forward-thinking. My mother, check this out. My mother's mother...
What's your mama's name?
Maria Marks.
Got it, okay.
My mother's mother got a cross burnt on her lawn from the KKK in Virginia because that side of the family is white. And my mother's mother sued the school system in Virginia saying my children are not getting a full education, my little white girls and boys, because they're not going to school with black kids, Hispanic kids, Asian kids, Jewish kids.
Wow.
So she sued the board as a white woman. The KKK burnt a cross on her yard, called her up and said, "We hope your daughters marry niggas." And she said, "Thank you, we do too." So my family is out the box like that. Now the good thing for me, what's been dope is, one, both my father and mother, free thinkers, not materialistic, traveled their ass off. So I was born in Mexico City. How many brothers do you know named Mario? For real, right? How does that happen? You know, this is way before Super Mario.
Yeah.
So I was born in Mexico City. Then my dad tried to make it in Hollywood, couldn't get a job as a director. My mom said, "Well, why don't we go to Europe?" And they went over there to be with the original colonizers, and he learned French. But we lived in Copenhagen, Denmark, and I slept in the kitchen. My sister slept in the bathtub. I mean, we just traveled everywhere, and so I had a really interesting childhood in that I grew up seeing Rembrandts. I grew up hearing Fela Kuti. I grew up hearing Marley. I grew up going to Black Panther meetings with my dad and going to Altamont with my mom, the ultimate hippie chick. So both sides were important. And what happened was it taught me that I got good people adapters, because half of my family looks Aryan race, half of us is black folks. You know what I mean? I'm obviously a brother. But I had to early on love everybody. I got a gay aunt. I got an aunt who's a Trumper. You know, you got everybody in your family. So it has helped me to, I think, be more diverse in my own language, if you will.
These are the only bins that will accommodate larger rollerboards.
They put 10 in here?
10, and you don't come out till you die.
And you eat him, you eat 10.
Can you
Oh my
imagine?
God.
The thing that I think is so interesting when we talk about the diverse experiences, and we joke about this all the time. Oh, black folks don't do that. When the reality is, when you think about the African diaspora, when you think about even African Americans, it's not about what you think we don't do, it's really what you don't know that we've done. So when folks, oh, black folks don't go to Martha's Vineyard, well, actually, they do.
Sure do.
Black folks.
Inkwell, bro.
Black folks don't.
Surf. My son
they
does.
go surf. Or I get it
I
all the
don't.
time. I get it all the time. And then, black folks don't golf. I'm like, the golf tee was invented by a black person. What are you talking about? And how vital exposure is. And I think for a lot of our children, not being able to experience things outside of their circle, I believe is detrimental. My parents took us to museums, and Again, parents never didn't have college degrees and didn't
Absolutely. Yeah.
but they said no. They purposely took us out to restaurants, so we knew how to eat and how to be in public. All of those different things, and so there's something to say about if you say, well, we don't do that as an adult. No, you get out of your comfort zone because that actually helps your
Well,
children.
it was interesting when I grew up with, seeing movies like Herb Jeffries movies and Bronze Buckaroo and Black Cowboys. So when I did my first feature in New Jack City, they said, what do you want to do next? And I said, I want to do a Western. The first 44 settlers of Los Angeles, 26 were African American. It makes sense. We wanted to get out of the South. Even the name Cowboys, right? They called us boys, no matter how old we were. So we had the dirty job. Take care of the horses, boy. Take care of the cowboy. And it wasn't until they glorified the word cowboy that they then changed the representation and you didn't see us anymore. So after New Jack City, I did Posse, and my father was right there with me. You know what I mean? So I think having an understanding of all that we can be and all that we have been, and not just saying, look, we know if, Hollywood's going to make professional boxers look like Stallone. But we know there's Ali and Mike Tyson, you know what I mean? And Jack Johnson and the Brown Bomber, you know what I mean? So we know that karate was a martial art invented by the Asian, but the Karate Kid don't get to be Asian. You feel me? So once you understand that the dominant culture will insert itself in a dominant way and reduce your culture to a backdrop, you understand that you go, oh man, images matter. That's this shirt here, right here. Images matter. So that's all my movies and my dad's movies together to say, that's right, our images matter. Because exactly what you're saying, Roland, we want to be the success we see. So my boys grew up going, yo, we can be in the West. We can be a superhero. We can be a lawyer. We can be that. And then what was the mind blower, though, was my daughters. They didn't have anyone to look at. And that was so cool about having daughters was it really hit me. I might have missed that and said, oh, wow, I got to make sure I do stuff where we see the sisters and that we encourage our sisters to make films as well, because they need to see themselves represented not just in front of the camera, but behind the camera. So, I did the Salt and Pepper movie. I made an effort to say, okay, this next Western that I'm gonna do, I got some badass women in the saddle. There was Stagecoach Mary. There was some real black women in the West who didn't take no shit. That we need to see. So I think we want to be the success we see. That's why I loved in Black Panther, not my movie, but Black Panther, the other movie. They had the little nerd science chick,
right?
Who was cool as heck,
right?
But knew everything about. She was the science geek. I was like, that is important to see, because we got to make smart the new gangster. Right. You're a smart brother. That's why you're here. You know what I mean? They're going to be cats that are more talented than us, smarter than us, but they didn't have the opportunity.
Right.
And we have the opportunity, and we have to show ourselves that we can make that smart as a new gangster.
Speaking of movies, why is it so hard to see Panther? What's the deal?
Wow.
I mean, if you go to Amazon, I think I tried.
Man.
So I have a collection of
That's a hard movie. They charge you $300 on Amazon.
I was like, I'm not about to pay no $400 for a VHS copy. Right. What's the deal?
Man, it is interesting, Roland. It is the movie they don't want you to see. It's funny, I made New Jack see it anywhere. But a movie that says that it is not an accident that we medicated the black communities right around the time when they were getting militant, when you had the Panthers starting to organize and people starting to vote and march on Washington. We let these communities get medicated. In fact, that comes up in The Godfather, where they say, as long as it stays in the black communities. So we asked the question, they tried to ask us questions. I asked them, the reporters when we did, I said, listen, why is it a 13-year-old boy in the hood can find a way to buy a gun, some liquor, or church, or some crack, and yet you can't find them to arrest those people? You can't arrest that dealer. Why is that?
It's like right now. So I'm literally looking on
can't get it.
Amazon right now.
Yeah, it's hard to get.
And I type in.
I think it's free. Listen, it's free on YouTube. I don't care if I don't make $1 of it.
It is.
Go see Panther on YouTube. Just see it. That's what you need to do.
I mean, because again, I have this collection of black movies, DVDs, documentaries,
right.
And I was sitting here going, what in the heck? And that question has come up a lot.
And they don't want you to see that.
And What studio did that? Who did Panther?
It was Polygram, which then got sold to MGM.
So is under MGM.
Yeah, man.
Oh, so that's Mark Burnett.
MGM didn't MGM just got sold to somebody?
They go back and forth.
Amazon or somebody like that.
But that is, I'm telling you, it is. You can.
Is it Amazon?
It's crazy. It's crazy. Yes, Amazon owns it.
Yeah.
But it is crazy.
You cannot get that.
You cannot get that.
And in
DVD.
fact, listen, when Panther came out, so my father wrote it, and I directed it, and we had an agreement. If people liked the movie, I would credit my directing. He would credit his writing. If they didn't like the movie, I would blame his writing. He'd blame my directing. And we would go full in. I called my daddy the has-been that never was. He called me the wannabe that never will. And we would just clown each other. But we did this movie, and when it came out, there was a well-funded right-wing organization that took out ads on Times Square, that whole thing that goes around, said, "Don't see Panther, the 2-hour lie." And a whole bunch of folks got pissed off from our community who said, "How dare you, cultural tourists, come up in here and tell black folks what we should see and know about our own history, about the Black Panther Party for self-defense." And they took out a big ad, and I think it was Spike and Whoopi, and everybody got together and took out a big ad defending the movie, man. But that was the movie, man. After it came out, we got all these reviews, awards. That movie has been buried.
Buried big time.
Big time.
Big time.
Yeah, it's the one movie I did that you can't see.
So
very hard to get.
So we probably gonna just raise that issue.
I think it's time, man.
Yeah.
I think it's time.
Right.
A couple people come to me and said, "Man, that movie was ahead of its time." And again, it's Angela Bassett reprising her role as Betty Shabazz in it, and
Kadeem Hardison
is in it. Courtney Vance is in it. That's where he met his wife. Marcus Chong is in it. Dick Gregory is in it with Melvin Van Peebles together. Man, it was what a dope experience.
So you're very much about movies that actually say something. So folks who watch it, I get this text, Roland, I got this movie, man. You'll be great in it. So I was like, okay, all right. I want you to be a barber. The hell, I'm gonna be a barber. And so I had one requirement. I said, Mario, I got to play a clean barber.
Yes, sir.
I said, the brother who cut my hair growing up, his name was Harvey. Harvey was always clean.
Had the ass guy?
No, he didn't have ass guys, but Harvey was always dressed. That's when they had the boots that zip up.
Right. Oh, yeah.
Always polished.
Yes.
Harvey's fro was perfect.
Yeah.
He had a real raspy voice.
Yeah.
He had a real raspy voice. Yeah. And he always, cologne and everything. He used to go to all of the Sugar Ray Leonard fights, Hagler fights. It was always like, yo, shop closing early on Friday because he was flying to Vegas for the fight. Right. So I said, if I'm gonna play a barber, I said, I got to play a clean one. I said, so I got to have cufflinks and an ascot.
Right. And you did it. You came in and did it. And here's the thing. You showed up on time. You got in there. You got it done. You understood time is money, and we made it happen. But the thing is, for us, for our community, the barber has often been where the Greek chorus takes place, where you have those conversations with us, about us, that we don't typically get to have. So it's kind of being in the town square. And you were great at leading it off, man. Because I needed someone that could kick the truth, and yet speak truth to power, but make it fun.
Well, first of all, it was crazy because you had Earthquake who was next to me, right. DC Young Fly, and it was funny you talking about time because I had a speech.
Paul Rodriguez,
right?
too.
Paul Rodriguez. I had a speech to give, and Paul kept missing his lines, and I was like, Paul, dog, come on, man. Right. Like it was crazy because again, my show's live, so like my crew will tell you.
Right, you got to bounce.
When I sit down,
right.
I am not.
No, you're
sitting here like, oh hey, we need 15 more minutes. It's like, it's about 60 seconds when I start.
You're the James Brown of reporting. Hey, you know how James didn't play? He'll find you. You're the James Brown of.
No, we were shooting that movie. I was.
Right.
How far? I was literally on my GPS going, okay, the airport is 42 minutes away.
Right. We got it in, man.
I'm like, we get this here.
We get it in.
I'm seeing the sun set, and I was like, all right. But it was because, and again, people who they just see a movie, they think, oh, hour and a half, 2 hours. It's shooting same thing, multiple angles, and I was sitting here and I was like, we got to do this 7 more times. But again, I'm just so used to live where, boom.
So the movie was called Armed, and there were little subtleties that you did that when I showed the movie Armed, people crack up. We showed it at the New Jersey Film Festival, and that little part where you said, I got a cake in the oven or something. You see, you broke it up. When Chief starts to lose his stuff, those little subtleties were so good because you were, as I said, able to speak truth to power, but to make it fun, to package it in a way that we can hear the truth, nod our head, listening, and get it done. But you did that, and still kick the truth.
Well, it was fun.
We said stuff in that movie that you're not supposed to say.
It was fun, but I was sitting there going, I said, man, I don't know how y'all do this. I said, this is 14, 16 hours. Right. Because again, for me, it's like, I love live. I hate taped. It's like when we go. We going straight through.
Right.
And so the whole movie making process, again, people never see how the sausage is being made.
Right.
They'll watch a movie, but they don't watch the director's cut or they don't watch the director's commentary.
Right.
Sometimes I'll watch a movie and I watch the director's commentary because I want to hear how to describe this scene and what they did here and how they shot this and stuff along those lines, because it really does give you a much better understanding of how it all came together.
Right. Well, and it's interesting. My dad was at a film festival. I think about him a lot because he just turned 89, and they said, Mr. Van Peebles, what do your movies have in common? Was there a common thread that you have in your films? And he got up there, took his cigar out, and he said, yeah, niggas win. Niggas win. And I think about it is that, for a long time we thought we were told we were 300 years of slavery, another 100 years of Jim Crow. That's 300 plus another 100, maybe 400 years of niggas don't win. We're 3/5 of a human being. And I think us having imagery where we could stand tall and see it has been a big part of us winning. I think that when South Africa fell, 2 favorite shows they were watching, Roland? They were watching Miami Vice with a white leading man and a black leading man, and The Cosby Show. And I'm not talking about The Cosby Show as I'm talking about the show as a phenomenon.
Yeah, Cosby Show, yeah.
And apartheid fell. That those boys and girls in Iowa who may never see a black person could conceive of Huxtables in the White House and call them Obamas 20 years later when they grew up. That we could now, so what we say about ourselves, and here's the thing, in most media, and this is the tricky thing, and I'm all for everybody doing what they want to do, but in a lot of media, we see black folks represented as stars and thugs. Mm-hmm. By and large, stars and thugs. Stars you fear, stars you envy, and thugs you fear. And neither of those is a good basis on which to build a friendship or a conversation and say, I'd vote for that guy, I'd marry her, I'd marry him, I'd get involved with them. You know what I mean? So I think that what I try to do as a filmmaker is, first of all, do things I love. Mm-hmm. My 3 loves: love what I do, love and enjoy the folks that I do it with, and love what I say with my work. But if I get those 3 chakras to line up, career-wise, I'm rich no matter what the paycheck. So sometimes I want to do a film like Armed, I'll go out and fund it myself. I don't wait, just like you. You get your camera equipment, you call me up, you do the interview, bam.
Because you shot a lot of that in your house.
Totally. I don't mess around.
I mean, you call folks like, hey.
You see my daughter's there, I have my family at work.
Yep.
Let me tell you, there was a scene in Armed where, at a certain point, my character, Chief, shaves his head. And there was a scene where we couldn't figure out the board, the way we shot it, that there was going to be one scene left where I was bald-headed, but I needed to have hair like in the beginning of the movie. So I didn't, I said, okay, I need the hair lady to go get me a real good wig, because I hate jive-looking wigs.
Right.
So they went out and got this wig. It looked so whack, man. It just looked hella whack. So I looked around, I said, who's got the same hair quality as me? And I saw my daughters. I said, baby girls, you love your daddy? They're like, yeah. I said, I need a little hair donation. We literally cut off, they donated hair. I got the hair and we glued it on my head and the makeup lady got it right. I got the perfect fro, man. And it was literally they gave the hair off their heads.
You like,
so,
come in, let me holler at you.
Yeah, totally. So, you know, part of it is, you know, them seeing how the sausage is made, is seeing the work ethic of it, understanding that whether you're in film or not, you're gonna have to be fun to work with, super informed on the craft, come earlier, leave later. You know, do not be the family weak link. I don't care if you're just doing catering, do not be the weak link.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? So that was the thing, is that some of my kids are in the business, some are not. Some of, you know, will be third generation, but they will all know how to work. And hopefully they will all be pleasant to work with. And if not, let me know, I'll kick some ass.
Pull up a chair, take your seat. The Black Tape with me, Dr. Greg Carr, here on the Black Star Network. Every week, we'll take a deeper dive into the world we're living in. Join the conversation only on the Black Star Network.
The thing that people don't, I believe, really understand is that, and I've said this for years, like literally my entire career, media is the second most powerful force in the world behind the military. I always say when there's a coup anywhere in the world, the first thing they get control of are the guns.
The second is the media.
Media is always second.
Yeah.
So for people who say, well, this is no big deal, it doesn't matter. I said, no. I said,
totally.
I said, because.
Look at D.W. Griffith's Birth of a Nation.
There you go. There you go.
Look at that, man. Look at the movie Peace Propaganda in the Promised Land. If you haven't seen that one, check that one out. That's another heavy one that's hard to get.
The woman who her name escapes me, she was the German director who Hitler used. Why is it escaping me? Because she shot the 1936 Berlin Olympic Games. And really, in her rest of her career was marred by her association with the Nazis. But again, they understood her talent as this director, as this amazing director. And that's why I tell people who go on television, who do commentating, I said, don't play with this. You don't understand the power of that medium and what you're saying and who you're reaching. Don't play with this.
Oh, we watched the uprising, the January 6th insurrection stuff. Initially, they were being reported as protesters. You know, my dad has a great cartoon on his wall. It's a picture of a black couple stopping at a grocery store. There's a flood, and they're taking some stuff out. And it says, you know, black family looting. And then they have a white couple doing the same thing, and it says, people gathering provisions. Now, both descriptions could be accurate.
Right.
But one positions something one way, another
which is based upon who is telling the story.
Based upon who's telling the story.
And it's funny.
So is it going to be his story, or is it going to be our story?
It's funny you brought that up because that weekend, the weekend after George Floyd's death, we're watching the coverage, and you're absolutely right. Protesters became looters, became demonstrators, all different names they use. So it was Saturday. So I sent an email.
What about the terrorist fist bump on Fox News?
Oh, all of that, all of that. So I sent an email out to all these other black media people. I said, why are we watching mainstream media define these protests? It was 1 o'clock in the morning, late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. I sent an email out. I said, I have a studio. My crew is on standby. We as black-owned media should join together and do our own coverage and not let them control the narrative. I sent out BT, TV One, Essence, Black Enterprise. I said, all these people. 3 responded. Rich Dennis at Essence responded. Revolt responded, but they did it, but just acknowledged it. But I said, do y'all understand what this moment is? So we went live that night. I didn't wait. We went live. We did about 400,000 views that night, and I think it went over 1 million or whatever. But my whole point was, I don't care if it doesn't do 5 million. We cannot allow the voice of this weekend to be determined solely by ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, MSNBC, and Fox.
What you're saying, Roland, is interesting because they say the news is a first draft of history.
It is. It is. You're there on the ground. You're laying it out, and that was the thing that. So what was bothering me was, y'all. Yes, we don't have a network like CNN and Fox, but the reality is that camera can connect to YouTube, and we can broadcast. Why are we watching them as opposed to us talk? So we booked probably 20, 25 guests that night. And our whole deal is Black people are going to be discussing the aftermath of the death of George Floyd, talking to Black people on this platform with a Black host that I own. And the thing for me was the folks who didn't respond, and I'm sitting here going, don't you understand this is why we have this? You have been entrusted with this. How are you not using it? And you're sitting here going, we just can't. I said, I'm taking all your excuses away. I have the studio, I have the staff. All you gotta do is simply say, we'll add it to our Facebook page. That's all I was telling them to do. But that, Mario, I think is the difference when you understand the power of the medium and you say, you abide by the nation's first Black newspaper, Freedom's Journal, which wrote on March 16, 1827, we wish to plead our own cause. Too long have others spoken for us.
Yeah, and that's a part of you. We talked about the movie Panther. Was part of what was significant for them was for them to see Black folks doing it. It wasn't going to be the old weapons they had. It was the food and breakfast programs, and the free schools. And that's dangerous. You know, it's not. It's when Dr. King stayed at the pulpit. You know, that's not threatening. When Brother Malcolm stays in the temple, that's not so threatening. But when you go beyond that, tell your own story and link up with other folks, you know, and march on Washington and talking about economics and ownership. You come back from Mecca and say, I prayed next to Muslims of all color. I no longer see it as a color issue. I think it's a spirit issue, and I'm going to take our problems not as a domestic thing, but onto the civil rights.
Then you become dangerous.
On the world stage. It's when you think that way. It's when Melvin Van Peebles says, okay, I made my little movie Watermelon Man. It was a comedy, cool. But now I'm going to make a film called Sweetback. I'm going to fund it myself. I'm going to have a multiracial crew. I'm going to own it. And you make a movie and say, I got a new band called Earth, Wind, and Fire in this movie. And you make the movie that becomes the top grossing independent hit. You never got another job offer after that. And I said, Daddy, why? You could make a movie, Sweetback, that made $15 million when it was $1 a ticket. That'd be like me and you going off and making a movie that makes $150 million today at $10 a ticket. I said, why wouldn't you get another job offer? He said, son, if you go into a pool hall and everyone counts on the fact that you can't play pool, and you play along with it and scratch and fumble, and then you whoop ass to take all the money, you can't go in the same pool hall again. The pool hall is called Hollywood. They don't like that. So you have to understand that sometimes that means, Roland, and I know you know this already, that you have to be bold enough to do it on your own. Not everyone's going to be cut from that cloth.
That's what a revolutionary is.
You see what I'm saying? So that's it. You got to be, that's the Van Peebles family. You know, yes, I'll go off and make this film for the studio or that one, but I will also go off and say, I'm gonna make Panther, or I'm gonna make Armed, or I'm gonna make my own, a film that I wanna see get made about us, for us. And I'm not afraid to do it. And listen, it's not just with black folks. I mean, if you make a film that goes up against the system, you can't take money from the system. If you take money from the system, then you got to say the same dialogue that the system's saying, right? So I can't make Super Size Me and take McDonald's money, right? I can't make Panther and take the man's money the same way. Understand? So as an independent filmmaker, as an independent journalist, there's a different road.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, so we go in knowing that.
It's time to be smart.
Roland Martin's doing this every day.
Oh, no punches!
Thank you, Roland Martin, for always giving voice to the issues.
Look for Roland Martin in the whirlwind, to quote Marcus Garvey again.
The video looks phenomenal, so I'm really excited to see it on my big screen.
Support this man, Black Media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
See, this difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
I got to defer to the brilliance of Dr. Carr and to the brilliance of the Black Star Network.
I am rolling with Roland all the way. Honored to be on a show that you own. A black man owns the show.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
I'm real revolutionary right now. Roland was amazing on there.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
I can't commend you enough about this platform that you've created for us to be able to share who we are, what we're doing in the world, and the impact that we're having.
Let's be smart. Bring your eyeballs home.
You can't be black-owned media and be scared.
You dig? What would you love to do that you haven't done? That it is, you like, I want to do that. I want to.
Yeah. Okay.
Is it a movie? Is it a documentary? Is it what is it where you like?
Okay, so that's a good.
I want to do that.
Yeah. So that's a really good question. That's part of what I love about this business. It's the surprise at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box. I didn't know that I would get to play Malcolm X and Ali with Will Smith, and that my daughters would get to play Malcolm's daughters, that I would get to work with Malcolm's daughter to humanize her dad, and that my father had interviewed Malcolm X when he was in France and my dad was a journalist. That was a surprise at the bottom of the Cracker Jack box. I often don't know. When they brought New Jack City to me, I wanted to make it, I said, oh, okay, it kind of read like a Black Scarface. I wanted to make sure that it read more like a multi-culti Untouchables, because I knew that crack is a killer in our community today, so I couldn't just have the wholesale glorification of the crack dealer. So if you wanted kids to say no in our community, you had to have role models to say yes to. So against, Judd Nelson and Chris Rock and myself and, Ice-T, of course, you had role models to say yes to. So I didn't know that I would do that. I didn't know you'd call me for this interview. So part of what I love is that I don't know. Now, there are other things that I'm a fan of. I want to do the story of my parents, free thinker. I'd love to do something on Egypt. I've always been interested in the pharaohs. I'm interested in the true Africa, the West Africa. I've got a lot of West African blood. Do you know what I mean? When you met me doing Roots, part of the fun of that was not doing slavery, was doing empowered people and showing that part. That was something that I've been interested in. But every day, brother, I'm exposed to things and I go, I get excited about things that I never thought of. I was recently asked to act in something that I may do about one of the early civil rights workers, Harry T. Moore and his wife, Harriet Moore, who were the Bonnie and Clyde of civil rights and social justice way before, other folks got on board, and they were true to it, not new to it. So I find things every day, brother, and that's the cool thing. And you know what? Now that my kids are big and they don't need me the same way, I'm more of a manager versus, I'm more of a consultant, less of a manager in terms of the parenting of it all. I can do what I want because I can take different risks now, and I'm not a materialistic cat. So part of what I love, brother, is that I don't always know where I'm going to end up next. I just did the Wu-Tang Clan series, so I was the producer director on that. Got to work with RZA. And then I did the Raising Canaan, which is a spin-off of Power.
Yep.
So I'll work this technology, work that, learn something over here, and get in where I fit in. Sometimes I'm just directing, sometimes I'm just acting, sometimes I'm writing, sometimes I'm doing all of the above. Playing my father, I didn't really know that I would wind up doing that. Playing my father in Badass was a great experience, man. So.
See, I think you used the word just a moment ago when you said excitement. And that's the thing that that I try to convey to people. It's not a job. It's not a career. It's still the excitement of the craft. You take a singer. You take a singer who is not caught up in will it hit the top 5 on Billboard, but they still enjoy the craft. They still enjoy grabbing that camera and looking through that viewfinder, or they still enjoy writing. And that's the thing that I try to convey to people. They say, man, I watch you and man, you were carrying the tripod and you were shooting? And I go, yeah. Because there still is the joy of, man, I love that shot. Or, oh, look at the use of the LED lights. And the color in the background and oh man, that's why I try to explain to people when you know you're truly doing what you want, when just getting that shot, that drone shot or that jib, that still brings you joy. That's loving the craft.
Yeah, yes, it is. And to me, it also it reverberates, it echoes. I'll give you a case in point. It was a brother that stopped me and my dad. We were walking down the street. He had long silver dreads and he had his son with him. And he said, Van Peebles, excuse me. And we both turned around. And he said, I have to tell you both that I'm a fan. I'm not a groupie, but I'm a fan. And sometimes I go to the films and I'm entertained. That's a good thing. Sometimes I go to movies and I learn something, and that's a good thing. And sometimes, rarely, I come out of a movie proud to be a black man. And with your movies, I get all three. The echoes.
Right.
When people say, when you see, there's a big difference, Roland, between being recognized and being appreciated. You know what I mean? Kim Kardashians are recognized. Appreciated, that's a whole different thing, man.
Last question for you. When we think about where we're going, there are a ton of people doing content. There are people, everybody name I want to be doing content, producing, and you got podcasts and all, everybody wants to be doing. What do you tell them about the responsibility that they have and how they use it?
Well, see, that's a tricky one, Ro, because I realize that the only one that can take that advice is myself. So there are a lot of films that I see get made that I go, why would you do that? When we finally have the keys to the kingdom, when we have the means to production, why would we say that about ourselves? You know what I mean? I remember once I was in Italy, I went into a nightclub and it was all Italian folks, cool, and I was from some film festival or something, and the DJ looked over at me and he did, one of those things, and I said, oh shit, here we go. And he put on some rap thing about bitches and hoes and shooting niggas, and they all start singing along. And it makes you wonder, you go, man, why do we want to say that about ourselves, man? You know, it's like, Paul Robeson asked a beautiful question where he says, if we buy into the values, the zeitgeist of those who would buy and sell us as a people, what have we become? Mm-hmm. And so I would say, be very careful to not just buy into stuff and say, right. The colonizer said this. Here's the thing. We know racism, for me, racism is next door to sexism. If you repress over color, you're going to repress over sex. If you repress over sex, you're going to repress over class. If you repress over class, one day you're going to be destroying Mother Nature herself. It's all related. That bully colonizer mentality is death to the planet, man. Mm-hmm. And as black folks, we have to really stop and say, wait a minute. This gave them cancer, but our folks knew how to use baking soda as deodorant and not put aluminum under your arms. We had that ancient wisdom. We original people. We know how to do this. You know what I mean? We had those remedies. You know, we had those healing abilities. So I would say, try not to just buy into wholesale into the colonizer's point of view of success. Success is that you can call me and we can talk amongst folks that look like us, for us, by us. If other people want to leave, I didn't have to leave any of me at the doorstep. Right. No one's telling me what to say or not say. That's success. That's free speech. Right. You feel me? That's success to me. Now, I'd rather be that than some cat that's locked up, can't do this, can't say that. And hell, success to me as a film, all I can do is put on one pair of pants at a time. So I don't need 100 different clothes. You feel what I'm saying? So success to me is the creative freedom to do and say what I want to say. And so I would say to the young brothers and sisters coming up is that examine your message, examine what you think your ideas are. And before you pick up that microphone, make sure you got something to say. And if you don't, then shut up. And if you do, let us hear it.
Make sure you got something to say.
Have something to say, man.
We'll leave it there. My man, I appreciate it.
Yes, brother.
Thanks a bunch.
Yes, man. Man, you look so pretty, all yellow.
Just chilling. You know, just chilling. I knew you were gonna come with a fly hat, so I had to make sure we were straight with it.
Look good, brother.
Appreciate it, man.
Of course.
Thanks a lot.
Yes, sir.